My sister and I unexpectedly acquired two systems. One is a magnification system that amplifies items by 100-fold, while the other is a reduction system that diminishes them by the same ratio. My sister, with a smile, opted for the reduction system, leaving me with no choice but to select the remaining option. Little did we anticipate that 3 days later, a torrential downpour heralded an apocalyptic era, trapping everyone indoors and rendering movement nearly impossible. Resources swiftly became the gravest concern. Utilizing the magnification system, I enlarged our scant provisions, meticulously rationing them, and ultimately managed to endure the crisis alongside my sister. However, to my shock, after the storm subsided, my sister cast me from a high building. If you hadn't seized my magnification system, I could have utilized it to enlarge food and save Brother Lou's family. You possess many admirable qualities, sister, but your selfishness knows no bounds. Upon experiencing yet another rebirth, I realized my sister had preemptively chosen the magnification system, confirming my suspicions that she too had been reincarnated. A smile crept upon my lips as I employed the reduction system to shrink enough sustenance to last me 5 years, simultaneously diminishing my own size. Thus, I vanished from everyone's sight. Please select your respective systems. Why does this phrase and scene feel so eerily familiar? My mind was still reeling had I not just been pushed from the building by my sister? It took a moment for me to regain my senses, jolted back to reality by an overwhelming sensation of weightlessness. My sister momentarily appeared taken aback, but then promptly declared, "I want the magnification system." "Very well. The system is now bound to you." She cast a triumphant glance in my direction, her eyes sparkling with undeniable joy. It dawned on me that I had indeed been reborn, transported back to the very day my sister and I made our system selections. A cold chuckle echoed in my mind given her fervor for Brother Lou and her seething resentment towards me, the sister who had saved her life. This time, I would refrain from intervening. Gazing at my exuberant sister, I stated, "In that case, I shall choose the reduction system." "Excellent. The system is now bound to you." My sister, brimming with enthusiasm for her new system, casually enlarged a nearby cup by 100-fold. The small cup instantly transformed into an enormous vessel. "Wow, it's real. The magnification system is truly mine." I regarded my sister with cold detachment. This was the sibling I had fought fiercely to protect. In my previous life, the abrupt onset of the stormy apocalypse trapped everyone indoors, creating a dire scarcity of resources. While our household contained several boxes of instant noodles and bread, I utilized the magnification system to augment our supplies, allowing us to survive the 5-year deluge. My sister's childhood friend, Lu Sheng, resided just across the hall. She implored me to assist in enlarging food for his family, but I refused, citing the unpredictable nature of humanity in dire circumstances. Without my assistance, Lu Sheng's family naturally succumbed to starvation long before 5 years had passed. I survived the apocalypse, only to perish at the hands of the very sister I had ardently protected. How utterly ludicrous. Sister, now that the magnification system is mine, do you not feel a twinge of envy? After all, I can enlarge anything I desire, while your reduction system seems rather inconsequential. My sister appeared to probe whether I had retained memories of my previous life, her eyes betraying a hint of wariness. That I exhaled softly, feigning nonchalance as I replied with a smile, "What difference does it make? It's merely a system. If you cherish it, then by all means, enjoy it." I could care less. Seeing my lack of interest in the magnification system, my sister finally relaxed and laughed. I understood that this time, she would undoubtedly endeavor to save her childhood friend's family. However, once word of this system spread, her safety in the apocalypse would be far from assured. Everyone would covet such power. My sister, filled with excitement, dashed out of our home and knocked on Lu Sheng's door. "Long Jejia? What brings you here?" Lu Sheng inquired, perplexed. She immediately linked her arm with his, disregarding the disdain on his face, and cheerfully replied, "Brother Lu, let's go inside and talk." As the door across the hall closed, I hastily checked the date on my phone. The 14th. Only 3 days remained until the storm struck. There was still time. I hurriedly drove to the nearby supermarket, sweeping through the aisles to gather all essentials: instant noodles, bread, and other non-perishable items, as well as toilet paper. Combs, mirrors, blankets, and pillows. That I procured rice, flour, seeds for various vegetables, and even a batch of chicks to ensure a steady supply of meat. Additionally, I visited a furniture store to select an entire set of furnishings. I was determined to create a brand new sanctuary for myself. 2. My residence is situated on a high floor, and even in my previous life, relentless storms posed no threat to me. I have no intention of abandoning my home. Rather, I aspire to embrace a different way of life. I indulge in a frenzy of shopping until my bank card is entirely depleted. In contrast, my sister, aware of the impending tempest, remains utterly unperturbed and unprepared. She knows her amplification system can enlarge food, thus she is completely at ease, even somewhat expectant. I am certainly cognizant of her expectations. She hopes to emerge as a savior for her childhood companion, Lu Sheng, during this time of scarcity, thereby inciting his affections. I had always believed her feelings for Lu Sheng were merely a passing fancy, yet it appears she is a quintessential romantic at heart. When she returned home that evening, her eyes sparkled with infatuation, as if she had already submerged herself in the depths of love with Lu Sheng. "Sister, do you think if I save Lu Sheng's family, he might fall in love with me?" she inquired, her face aglow with happiness and a hint of shyness. I coldly replied, "No. Impossible. Brother Lu will definitely like me." "Sister, tell me the truth. Do you perhaps have feelings for Brother Lu? But you are 2 years older than him. You should not harbor such thoughts." I ignored her remarks, instead focusing on my phone to shop for necessities. I had already been betrayed by her once. I would not allow a repetition of such folly. This time, let her face her own demise. "Sister, do you have any money left? Could you lend me a few thousand? I wish to buy some food." She chirped cheerily. I maintained a stern expression, replying, "No, I have just purchased a refrigerator, and my funds are entirely exhausted." Immediately, she emitted a sharp, incredulous exclamation. "Why did you buy a refrigerator?" I frowned. "I wanted to replace the old one. Is that a problem?" "Why such a strong reaction?" Realizing her outburst was inappropriate, she quickly composed herself, smiling. "Oh no, I was merely curious." "Hee sister, I recall that you have some food in your room. I have already given it to the elderly residents of our community, as they have it hard too. You aren't upset, are you?" My sister beamed brightly, seemingly awaiting my praise for her kindness. Little did I expect that, in this new life, she would not only acquire the amplification system she desired, but would also redistribute my last resources to others. It was unmistakably an attempt to drive me to despair. Had I not been reborn, devoid of a system, I would surely not survive this impending deluge. Observing my sister's beaming smile, my disdain for her intensified. I had always believed I treated her with great kindness. Orphaned in our youth, I took on the parental responsibilities, sacrificing my education to support her studies. I never blamed her for her poor academic performance, and her living expenses consistently exceeded those of her peers, all funded by my relentless labor. Subsequently, when she failed to gain admission to university, I had already secured a home in the city through my own efforts, bringing her to live with me. Little did I know that my neighbor would be Lu Sheng, her childhood companion. The two had played together in their youth. But after Lu Sheng's family was relocated and received a substantial compensation, they moved away. Upon seeing the handsome Lu Sheng again, my sister immediately developed feelings for him, persistently pursuing him. Even during the apocalyptic storm, when I refused to assist his family, she secretly allocated some of our supplies to them while I was away. I felt utterly powerless, locking the door tightly to prevent others from pilfering our resources. It became clear that in my sister's eyes, I was worth less than a man who offered her no kindness whatsoever. 3. I was utterly disillusioned with my sister. "It's fine," I said. She approached me with a smile, linking her arm with mine. "Hee sister, you are the best. I knew you wouldn't be upset over such trivial matters." I pried her arm away. "I'm a bit tired. I will retire to my room now. You should also rest early." Turning, I retreated to my room, beginning to devise a plan for my sanctuary. I had even purchased wind power generation equipment to ensure a continuous supply of electricity during the tempest. I had prepared everything I required. Now, all I needed to do was quietly await the remaining time. My sister, believing herself invulnerable due to her amplification system, remained carefree, using her allowance to secretly stockpile hundreds of dollars worth of food in her room, as if fearing I might steal from her. I entirely relinquished my claim to this house. Remaining here posed a risk of being discovered. Thus, I set my sights on another location, the hidden chamber within my bedroom. This small room had been specifically constructed during renovations, and I had never disclosed its existence to my sister. Though modest, akin to the size of a small restroom, it would serve as a safe haven for my diminished self. The room's access was controlled via my mobile device, alleviating any concerns of my sister uncovering it. Even if she did, she would be unable to unlock it. Moreover, I made a special trip to the wilderness several kilometers away, utilizing the shrinking system to condense a substantial plot of land. In doing so, I would be able to cultivate vegetables and sustain myself. I also miniaturized several trees to bring back with me. In the blink of an eye, the food and furniture I had ordered arrived. There remained merely a day until the storm's arrival. I had designated the delivery address to my former rural residence, now desolate and devoid of inhabitants. The house was filled with furniture, appliances, food, and various knickknacks. Seizing the opportunity of solitude, I employed the shrinking system to compress everything into the boxes I had meticulously prepared. Finally, I hesitated briefly but ultimately decided to shrink my small bungalow and transport it back. Although somewhat aged, it could be renovated for habitation. Under the cover of night, I drove back to my home, stashing all these items in the secret chamber. My sister had been unusually exuberant these past few days, confident in her preparations, and thus paid no heed to my whereabouts. The secret chamber was equipped with an air filtration system, allowing me to dwell within for years without fear of oxygen depletion. I left 5 bottles of mineral water uncompressed, pouring them into a small basin to serve as a water source for the future. The chamber was also outfitted with electric lighting, which I could control via my phone. After a night of meticulous arrangement, the secret chamber transformed into a miniature farm. Tiny chicks clucked softly as they busily foraged for insects amidst the straw. Outside the farm stood my small house, fully furnished with appliances. At last, I could breathe a sigh of relief, awaiting the storm's arrival in tranquility. For, in the final half-day, my sister ran off to Lu Xing's house again. His family seemed rather unwelcoming towards her, yet she remained indifferent to their opinions, persistently intruding into Lu Xing's room. I overheard his mother complaining to the neighbors below more than once. That girl across the hall is utterly indiscreet. Despite being grown, she still barges into my son's room every day, lacking any sense of shame. Instantly, a neighbor quipped, "I suspect she has a crush on your son. You may soon have a daughter-in-law." Lu Sheng's mother retorted vehemently, "Shaw, you don't understand. She couldn't even get into university and is now in her 20s without a proper job, lying at home relying on her sister for support. With that pathetic demeanor, she thinks she can marry my son? Not a chance. He is tall, handsome, and employed. She is far beneath him." I remained silent, choosing to ignore their remarks. An hour remained before the impending downpour, and I placed a call to my sister. "Hello, sister, what is it?" Her voice was devoid of any emotion. "There are matters at the company. I will be working late tonight and won't return." My sister hesitated momentarily, yet ultimately refrained from providing any admonitions, merely stating, "All right. I'll eat by myself tonight then. Goodbye." I knew she would not remind me to take care. After all, my call was merely a ruse, intended to mislead her into believing I had already left home. Subsequently, I maneuvered my phone to access the concealed chamber in my bedroom, retreating inside and ensuring the door was secured. I activated the shrinking system once more, but this time it was not objects that were diminished, but rather myself. A dizzying whirl enveloped me, and upon regaining my composure, the once cramped chamber now appeared remarkably spacious. My audacity to shrink myself stemmed from my previous life, where I observed that objects enlarged by the amplification system miraculously reverted to their original size once the torrential rain ceased. Thus, I surmised that the shrinking system would operate similarly, rendering objects back to their normal dimensions after the storm subsided. Surveying the land, vibrant trees, diminutive chickens, and quaint houses, I felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. No longer would I be troubled by the tempest. During my sister's absence, I installed hidden cameras inside and outside the house, allowing me to monitor every movement through my phone's video feed. To be cautious, I even equipped the entrance to Lu Xing's home with a camera. The surveillance quality was exceptional, not only providing crystal-clear visuals, but also capturing the faintest sounds with precision. Having accomplished this, I tucked my phone into my pocket, hoisted a hoe, and diligently began tilling the land. Once the soil was prepared, I scattered seeds, added some fertilizer, and watered the crops. A flock of chicks pecked at my feet, and I waved them away, opening a bag of chick feed to nourish them. I learned from my phone that the torrential rain had commenced, though few recognized that it would not abate. Many lamented on social media about the deluge hindering their work. Isolated from the world, my only connections were this phone and my tablet. Days passed without respite from the rain, which had severely disrupted the city's transportation. My sister was not surprised by my disappearance. She might have believed I perished in the flood. During these days, I toiled on my little farm, cultivating vegetables and tending to the chickens, with my only concern being the chicks' incessant nibbling on my seedlings. One day, out of sheer boredom, I accessed the surveillance feed and discover my sister had brought Lu Sheng to our home. They sat in the living room, my sister wearing a triumphant smile. "Luga, do you have any food left at home?" Lu Sheng's face wore an expression of frustration. "Not much. I wish I had stocked up more. The first floor is nearly submerged, and I can't get out." He then turned to my sister. "Jia, do you have any food at home? Could you spare some? My family, including my parents and sister, cannot survive on the little we have." My sister playfully punched his chest, drawing circles on it with her finger. She leaned closer to Lu Sheng, whispering in his ear, "How could this be? Do you really have such things?" Lu Sheng sprang to his feet, disbelief etched on his face. "Of course. Just watch." My sister activated the amplification system, enlarging an apple on the table, which instantly ballooned in size, thudding heavily against the surface. Lu Sheng's expression transformed from incredulity to sheer delight as he grasped my sister's shoulders. "Jia, thank goodness for you. Please enlarge all the food in our house." My sister shyly nodded. "All right, Lu Ge, but I have a small request." Lu Sheng, without a moment's hesitation, replied, "What is it?" "You know I like you, Lu Ge. Since I can save your family, could you perhaps like me too?" My sister bashfully covered her eyes, oblivious to the complex and slightly repulsed expression on Lu Sheng's face. He quickly adopted a tender demeanor, taking her hand. "What nonsense! Haven't we been together all along? You know we were childhood sweethearts. Of course, I like you. Once the rain ends, I will marry you." My sister joyfully embraced Lu Sheng. "That's wonderful. I knew you liked me too. My sister said you wouldn't, but I think she's just jealous." "And what of your sister?" My sister casually replied. "Oh, she said she was working late. After being reined in for so long, she's probably drowned by now." A glint of mischief crossed Lu Sheng's face as he coaxed my sister into bringing out all the supplies from her room. Watching the surveillance, I felt a whirlwind of emotions. How did I raise such a foolish sister? Foolishness aside, her wickedness was astonishing, as if she wished for my demise. Yet, what did it matter to me? I was hidden away, and no one would be the wiser. I simply needed to live my life in peace. I returned to the house, prepared a hot pot for myself, and retrieved a drink from the refrigerator, relishing my dinner. Not only did I enjoy my meal, but I also captured a photograph of the culinary delight and posted it on social media. The caption read, "As the storm rages outside, enjoying hot pot at home is simply divine." To my surprise, my sister immediately commented on my post. "Sister, where are you?" As if that weren't enough, she bombarded me with several messages on WeChat. "Sister, with such heavy rain, are you alright?" "Sister, where are you?" "Still eating hot pot. I want some too." "Sister, please tell me where you are. I can't go out in this downpour. Could you bring me some food?" I refrained from replying to any of her inquiries and simply sent her a photo of the drink I had just enjoyed. The drink is refreshing, and the hot pot is steaming hot and delicious. My sister promptly called me. "Sister, how can you still eat hot pot? Could you bring some back for me? I've been eating bread for days. I'm so hungry." Though my sister expressed her hunger, I could discern a deeper meaning in her urgent tone. How is it that, even in this apocalyptic rain, you can indulge so lavishly? I chuckled, glancing around at the serene surroundings, completely unaffected by the tempest outside. "I'm still at the company. This hot pot is courtesy of our office. The rain is too heavy for me to return, so you'll have to scavenge for something to eat at home." My sister, in a familiar manner, began to pout. "Please, sister, the bread at home is unbearable. I want hot pot too." I promptly declined. "No way." She seemed poised to protest further, but I ended the call. I turned to the surveillance feed and observed my sister's fury directed at her phone, her demeanor no longer that of the obedient little sister. After all these years of playing the dutiful daughter, it must have been exhausting for her. I then opened my tablet and began binge-watching shows. I had stored hundreds of novels, anime, and dramas to entertain myself during these monotonous days. Once satiated, I reclined in bed, allowing myself to relax. I casually accessed my phone, logging into the surveillance software to view the feed outside Lu Xing's home. Almost immediately, I heard their voices. "Jia is truly remarkable. Now, we need not worry about food. What a stroke of luck." This is the voice of Lu Xing's mother. And it appears that their family is already aware of the fact that my younger sister possesses the amplification system. There is a hint of pride in my sister's voice as she says, "Annie, you flatter me. Being able to use this system to help your family is my wish." After all, we are all destined to become one family in the future. The atmosphere suddenly falls silent, and Lu Xing's parents continue to coax her. Indeed, if it weren't for Jia Jia, how would we have acquired so much food? Lu Xing is fortunate to be with you. I always said that this little girl of yours is truly delightful. My sister is so flattered that she becomes lightheaded, completely oblivious to her surroundings. I scoff quietly and turn off the surveillance. I am well aware of the nature of Lu Xing's family. When they first received their compensation for the demolition, they immediately held their heads high in the village, looking down upon others, and they drove away various relatives and friends with their harsh words. They always believed that others approached them solely for that compensation. Many villagers have remarked on their arrogance. Even the village chief is unable to ask for a sip of water from their home. How could such people possibly treat my sister sincerely? And then there's Lu Xing. I've observed his haughty demeanor since childhood, and he has spoken ill of my sister both openly and covertly, never holding her in high regard. However, I cannot interfere in their affairs, especially since I am now diminished to 1/100th of my original size. Before long, my sister calls me. Sister, I have wonderful news. I'm now together with Lu Xing. Her voice brims with excitement. Oh, I respond. My tone is flat, as if she had merely mentioned that it was raining again today. While feeding the chickens, I ask, why did you call me? The chicks have grown a bit, yet they chatter incessantly, squabbling for food. Sister, why do I hear chickens on your end? She inquires. Oh, because I'm feeding them, I reply. Huh. My sister is immediately taken aback. In such a heavy downpour, where did you get chickens? I do not answer her question directly, simply stating, I raise them. The vegetables and eggplants I had sown have already sprouted, and I occasionally venture outside to weed and water them. The meat I bought is stored in the freezer, enough to sustain me for quite some time. My sister clicks her tongue. Sister, where on earth are you? How can you eat hot pot and raise chickens? Are you unaffected by the torrential rain? No, I respond. She could never guess that I have not gone anywhere and am simply in my bedroom. Just a wall separates us, yet we inhabit entirely different worlds. That's fantastic. You're not affected by the rain. Quickly tell me where you are. I'll bring Lu Xing and the others over since we will all be family soon. I can't help but add a touch of sarcasm to my voice. Why don't you figure it out yourself? If you find me, then come.
What do you mean by that?
You don't want us to come? This is the first time I've spoken to her in such a sardonic tone. I've always been someone who readily obliged her requests. I kick aside a chick in my path and stride back to the house from the fields. My refrigerator is stocked with a variety of prepared foods, including pizzas, buns, steamed bread, and dumplings. I switch on the electric fan and retrieve a freshly baked pizza from the microwave. The pizza, now golden after reheating, looks deliciously soft. And I snap a photo to send to my sister.
Ah.
How come you have pizza there? Sister, hurry up and tell me where you are. You're so selfish. I'm here gnawing on dry bread and eating instant noodles, and you're feasting on pizza. My sister's tone is both urgent and slightly petulant as she desperately tries to extract my location. I take a bite of the pizza, savoring its cheesy stretch, and say, wow, this pizza is absolutely delightful. The cheese even stretches. Sister, no matter how good your food is, it's still limited. What good is your shrinking system? My amplification system can enlarge your food. It won't be a problem to have enough for years. Quickly tell me where you are so I can find you. When has she ever wanted to visit me? She merely cannot stand to see me living well. I repeat, if you find me, then come. I then hang up the phone, watching my sister rage helplessly on the surveillance as she destroys everything in my room. Before long, the news about my sister's amplification system spreads throughout the entire neighborhood. It goes without saying who leaked the information. My sister's door is knocked on repeatedly. Everyone arrives with their meager remaining food, hoping she can help them enlarge it. Initially, my sister is somewhat flustered, intending to pretend she doesn't possess the system to evade the situation. However, Lu Xing's family quickly rushes out, with his parents blocking the approaching crowd. Hey, hey, hey. Jia Jia is our future daughter-in-law. If you want to use the system, you must obtain permission from our family. Using the system consumes a significant amount of energy. You have to pay. At first, Long Jia Jia is annoyed that Lu Xing's parents revealed her possession of the system, but she immediately brightens upon hearing this. Yes. Yes. Jia Jia is my girlfriend. If you make her work, you must pay. Lu Xing boldly wraps his arm around my sister's waist, while she shyly leans into him. Thus, Lu Xing's family begins to profit from my sister. Each person who requests her to use the amplification system must pay Lu Xing 2,000 yuan. While 2,000 yuan is not trivial, During the aftermath of the torrential rain, resources are scarce and money cannot buy food. This seems to be a win-win situation, but from the surveillance, I learn that more and more people are approaching my sister to use the system, and the frequency of visits is increasing. What does this imply? It means they believe that as long as my sister possesses the amplification system, they will never starve. However, they overlook one crucial detail. The system can only enlarge food that already exists. It cannot create food from nothing or regenerate it after consumption. 3 years pass, and astonishingly, no one in the neighborhood has starved thanks to my sister's amplification system. Consequently, people begin to let their guard down, indulging in excessive eating, drinking, and revelry. Yet, by the end of the 3rd year, the crisis finally emerges. Every household's food supply has dwindled, and even with my sister's system, it is insufficient. Resources are exceedingly limited, and the amplification system no longer holds its advantage. Thus, chaos ensues in the neighborhood, with arguments and fights erupting over dwindling supplies. My sister has long since moved into Lu Xing's home, becoming part of their family. Through eavesdropping on the surveillance, I discover that Lu Xing's family realizes that the number of people seeking my sister to use the amplification system is decreasing, making it increasingly difficult to profit from this business. Nonetheless, my sister continues to live with them, which has begun to provoke their discontent. They conspire to find an excuse to expel her. Consequently, Lu Xing abruptly breaks up with my sister, bluntly stating, "I don't love you anymore." My sister cries and pleads desperately, but Lu Xing's family ultimately casts her out. In this post-apocalyptic world, no one cares whom my sister loves. Everyone is solely focused on their own interests. After crying and causing a scene at their doorstep for an entire day and night, she returns to my home, only to find that it has been completely emptied by Lu Xing's family. The food my sister had hoarded is now all in their possession. The house has become nothing but a hollow shell. Although my sister made a scene outside their home, all she received in return was their scorn. They would never return her food. My sister has finally begun to panic. And what am I doing at this moment? I am leisurely enjoying my life on my little farm. When hunger strikes, I simply pluck some fresh vegetables and stir-fry them with meat. If I am not in the mood to cook, I take some pre-prepared meals from the refrigerator to toss together. When time permits, I can even mix myself a delightful drink. Each day begins with the ritual of feeding the chickens, followed by preparing my breakfast. And then I venture into the fields to inspect the vast expanse of vegetables, potatoes, eggplants, tomatoes, corn, and more that I have sown. If I feel drowsy around noon, I indulge in a brief nap, waking to binge-watch dramas or anime, snacking at my leisure. The only minor inconvenience is the absence of insects. I must personally pollinate each fruit and vegetable. However, these are trivial matters. After 3 years without any news of me, my sister tentatively called again. She may have thought I had perished in the torrential rains, yet here I was, answering the phone. "Sister, you're alive. How wonderful. I thought you had been killed by the storm." I munched on a cucumber while watching a drama on my tablet. "What do you want me to do by calling?" Her voice was tinged with tears. "Sister, you don't know how that family of Lu Xing has treated me. They exploited my amplification system to profit. And now that no one is seeking my services, they've thrown me out of the house." "Oh, I see. Lu Xing clearly promised to marry me, and now he wants to break up. Their entire family is nothing but greedy scoundrels. I've been so terribly wronged. There's nothing to eat at home." "Oh, I see." I continued to chew on the cucumber, the sound crisp and refreshing. My sister immediately launched into a sob story. "Sister, please come quickly and take me away. I'll starve without food. You wouldn't want to see your only sister perish, would you?" My tone remained indifferent, not possible. Sensing something amiss, her voice escalated, like a cat whose tail has been stepped on. "Why aren't you concerned about me at all? You used to be different." She then shouted, "Have you also been reborn?" It was only at that moment that I let out a light laugh. "Yes, so what? Why didn't you tell me you were reborn? You must know what kind of people Lu Xing and his family are. Why haven't you shared this with me? How selfish can you be?" I chose not to elaborate and sent her a video instead. In the video, my fruits and vegetables flourished, a flock of chickens scurried about, and the interior of my home radiated warmth, with the refrigerator brimming with food and snacks. It bore no trace of having been ravaged by storms, as though residing in an entirely different world. Upon receiving the video, my sister exploded in fury. "How can you be so selfish? Do you have any idea how miserable my life is? Hurry, and come take me away." "Selfish? When you pushed me down the stairs in our past life, were you not selfish? Now that you're clearly reborn and aware of the storm, you've never thought to inform me. Are you not selfish?" My sister seemed to take my kindness for granted, never considering the idea of reciprocity. I am no pushover, since you've never regarded me as family. I have no obligation to save you again. Sister, I was truly bewitched by Lu Sheng. You can't abandon me. I am your only sister. If I starve to death, you'll have no family left. I casually remarked, oh, then just die. What do I care? After saying this, I hung up the phone, fully imagining my sister's frantic rage on the other end. Through surveillance, I could see my sister going mad inside the house, smashing things, particularly destroying everything in my bedroom. Yet, smashing things wouldn't fill her stomach. No matter how much she vented, it would be futile. One day, I noticed my sister returned with some bread, and through the outdoor surveillance, I realized she had stolen it from Lu Sheng's house. The entire Lu family was out, leaving only Lu Sheng's 6-year-old sister at home. My sister deceived her into opening the door and proceeded to steal all the food from their home. Watching this scene unfold on the monitor, I couldn't help but chuckle. What a splendid turn of events, almost bringing me to tears with laughter. As expected, when the Lu family returned, they discovered their food was missing and erupted in fury, kicking and banging on my door while hurling curses. My sister, however, remained curled up inside like a frightened turtle, refusing to emerge. My door was exceptionally sturdy, specifically chosen for its resilience during renovations. Thus, even as the Lu family raged outside for 3 days and nights, they posed no threat to my sister within. Unexpectedly, Lu Sheng brazenly approached my sister and said, Jia Jia, stop throwing a tantrum. If you return our food, we can reconcile, okay? I was just saying those things out of anger. I still love you. Don't you remember our promise to marry? Lu Sheng, from the other side of the door, showered my sister with sweet nothings. Initially hesitant, my sister found herself swayed as Lu Sheng spent 2 whole days apologizing and assuring her he would never act so rashly again. Her hand gripped the doorknob, a smile barely contained. I knew my sister was about to face trouble once more. The subsequent scene was almost unbearable to witness. The moment she opened the door, she was met with a swift elbow from Lu Sheng, sending her sprawling to the ground, leaving her to painfully clutch her forehead as she helplessly watched them cart away all the food once more. Before leaving, Lu Sheng's father kicked her in the head. Pa, a desperate tramp. You think you can marry my son? No chance. I never imagined a girl like you could be so vile, stealing my things. My sister lay on the ground, unable to move, her voice weak, but that was my food. Pa. You've brought me nothing but misfortune. Lu Sheng kicked her aside and took all the food back to their home. My sister lay at the doorstep for 2 days before finally regaining her strength to stand, hugging her knees and sobbing for a long time. Even with her amplification system, it was of no use. She had no food left. In her moment of utter despair, she called me once more. As soon as I answered, she burst into tears. After she had cried enough, she said, Sister, Wowu, I've been bullied. I've been beaten so badly. I'm in so much pain. Sister, Wowu, can you come to save me? I'm really hurting, and I'm so hungry. Did they break my bones, Wowu? In the past, I would have felt immense sympathy for my sister, wishing to bear all her suffering myself. But now, as I listened to her lament, I remained unmoved. You deserve it. I hung up the phone and turned to the fields to harvest corn. Days turned into weeks as my sister lay at the door, her figure growing increasingly gaunt. During this time, several passers-by forced her to use her amplification system to enlarge food. Though reluctant, after enduring a few slaps, she complied. Until her final moments, she crawled to Lu Sheng's doorstep, her neck tilted, forever lost to this world. When Lu Sheng opened the door, he found her already decaying body and disdainfully kicked her aside, showing no concern for her fate. Another 2 years passed, the torrential rains having flooded several floors below, yet, as I had predicted in my past life, they posed no threat to our level. Just months before the storm was set to cease, the Lu family met their demise. Due to the poor reputation of their family within the community, coupled with the fortune that the sister had acquired through perilous means, they had long been the subject of disdain. In the final months following the torrential rains, as every household's food supplies dwindled to alarming levels, an anonymous individual in the homeowners group disseminated a rumor that the Lu family still possessed ample provisions. Numerous individuals, armed and organized in groups, converged upon their doorstep, hurling insults and demanding the surrender of their food. Not only did the Lu family refuse to comply, but they also unleashed a torrent of vitriol upon their assailants. Inciting their wrath further, several factions coordinated a relentless assault, taking turns to batter down their door, the cacophony echoing day and night. Ultimately, after 4 days, the Liu family's door was utterly demolished. Their food supplies were entirely plundered, leaving the family seated on the floor, weeping inconsolably, devoid of sustenance. They could not endure the final months. The community lay in ruins, with lifeless bodies strewn about, and the air filled with cries and lamentations. Meanwhile, I indulged in the comforts of my modest farm, even managing to gain 5 pounds. I persevered until the very last moment. A notification arrived on my phone heralding the end of the storm. At last, the sun pierced through the dense clouds, casting golden rays upon the earth and hinting at a glimmer of hope. I had been tilling the soil for my corn when I felt an extraordinary sensation. My previously shrunken form suddenly expanded back to its normal size. The farm and house beneath my feet appeared minuscule at that moment. I opened the secret chamber on my phone to reveal a scene of utter chaos within the house. Oddly, I was the sole entity to have returned to my original proportions, while everything else remained unchanged. Perhaps there existed some discrepancies between the enlargement and reduction systems. After all, one must admit that such systems are inherently peculiar. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, I observed the survivors emerging from their homes, crying out to the heavens. I too raised my voice to the sky, exclaiming, "At last, I have survived this ordeal." The end of the narrative. Thank you for listening. Should you find pleasure in this tale, do remember to like and subscribe. Until we meet again in our next story.